Carl Jung's 5 synchronicities that reveal the hidden patterns in your life. Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Carl Jung. Have you ever experienced a moment so perfectly timed that it felt as if the universe was speaking directly to you? A song, a number, a dream, or even a chance encounter that seemed to hold a message just for you. These are not random coincidences, but what Jung called synchronicities, mysterious patterns linking your inner world with the outer universe. In today's video on spiritual wisdom, we'll uncover 5 powerful types of synchronicities that reveal how deeply your consciousness is intertwined with the fabric of reality. As you listen, think about the moments in your life that felt too meaningful to be chanced. Have you ever felt the universe guiding you through a symbol or a coincidence? Share your experiences in the comments. Your story might help someone recognize their own hidden pattern. 1. Warning or alert synchronicities. Warning or alert synchronicities often arrive quietly, yet powerfully, just before we make a major life choice or step into a new path. They're not coincidences or random signs. They're protective signals from the universe, guiding you away from what doesn't align with your higher vibration. When your energy begins to drift out of balance, reality mirrors that shift through subtle disruptions, a strange delay, an uneasy feeling, or repeating symbols that catch your attention. Carl Jung, through his deep exploration of synchronicity, believed that such moments are the psyche's way of communicating with us, revealing that the boundary between inner and outer worlds is thinner than we think. What seems like chance is, in truth, consciousness reaching out to correct our course. These synchronicities embody the Hermetic principle of vibration, which teaches that everything in existence moves and vibrates. Your energy field, emotions, and thoughts emit frequencies that shape your experiences. When your vibration is harmonious, life unfolds effortlessly. When it's off-key, the world reflects that disharmony back to you as a warning. That uneasy phone call that doesn't feel right. That gut instinct telling you to pause before signing something. That sudden mechanical failure before a trip, all are manifestations of your inner world echoing through the outer one. The universe is never against you. It simply mirrors your energy to keep you aligned with truth. Spiritual awakening sharpens your sensitivity to these energetic messages. You begin to notice how your environment speaks not in words, but in patterns and sensations. Before a misstep, you might feel tension rise in your chest, sense time slowing down, or feel drained around certain people. These are not coincidences. They are vibrations resonating through your nervous system, signaling that something is out of tune with your soul's purpose. And when you ignore them, life has a way of making those signs louder, until you can no longer deny what your intuition already knew. Jung saw these patterns as evidence that psyche and matter are intertwined in a dance of meaning. The external world does not just happen to us, it collaborates with our consciousness. Every warning synchronicity is an invitation to realign, to ask, what in my energy is calling this into being? In spirituality, this awareness transforms fear into understanding. Rather than viewing synchronicities as omens of misfortune, you begin to see them as sacred guidance, as the soul's way of whispering, wait, this isn't the path. When you honor these whispers, you move in harmony with a greater intelligence that knows what your mind has yet to grasp. energy never lies. It's the silent architect of your destiny. When your vibration is highly anchored in peace, clarity, and authenticity, warning synchronicities fade because there's nothing to warn you about. But when your frequency wavers, reality sends signals to bring you back home. The Hermetic principle of vibration reminds us that we are both creators and receivers in this cosmic field. By raising your consciousness, you don't just avoid danger, you reshape your entire energetic landscape. You begin to attract experiences that match your evolution, and life itself becomes a conversation between your soul and the divine order that governs all things. Through this awareness, synchronicities no longer feel like interruptions. They become guidance systems of the awakened spirit, ensuring that every step you take vibrates in rhythm with your highest truth. If you've ever experienced warning signs from the universe, take this moment to affirm your awareness. Repeat after me. I trust the signs that guide me. I am open to divine warning and aligned with spiritual wisdom. 2. Confirmation synchronicities. There are moments in life when the universe seems to speak to you in ways that logic alone cannot explain. Confirmation synchronicities appear during those exact moments of spiritual growth, when you are shedding an old version of yourself and stepping into the unknown. You might be questioning whether you are truly on the right path, whether your choices are leading you toward your higher purpose. And then, suddenly, life responds. You see a repeated number, you hear a song that echoes your inner feelings, or you meet someone who validates your recent thoughts. These experiences are not accidents. They are gentle confirmations from the universe that your path is in alignment, that you are being guided by something far greater than your own will. Carl Jung describes synchronicity as a meaningful coincidence that bridges the inner world of the psyche and the outer world of events. When you experience these moments, it is as if your inner transformation vibrates outward, rearranging external circumstances to mirror your consciousness. This is the dance between the masculine and the feminine within you, the logic that plans and the intuition that trusts. The masculine energy helps you make conscious, grounded decisions, while the feminine energy allows you to surrender and flow with the unknown. When they merge in balance, you begin to move through life with faith and clarity, guided not by fear or control, but by the rhythm of spiritual alignment. The more you grow spiritually, the more often these signs appear. They reflect your deepening connection to the universe and your readiness to trust divine timing. When you choose love over fear, peace over chaos, and authenticity over conformity, synchronicities begin to multiply, confirming that you are moving in harmony with your soul's design. You start to notice patterns that seem almost too perfect to dismiss. The right people arrive at the right moment. Opportunities unfold effortlessly, and even obstacles begin to reveal hidden blessings. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of your energy, showing that your outer reality is catching up with your inner evolution. When a confirmation synchronicity appears, don't rush past it. Pause and listen. Ask yourself what it's trying to reveal about your current path. Perhaps it's affirming that you made the right decision, or gently nudging you to trust the unknown a little more. Each sign is like a quiet whisper from the soul, reminding you that everything has purpose, even uncertainty. True spirituality teaches you that there is divine intelligence behind every event, a pattern weaving your life into something far greater than chance. The more aware you become, the more you realize that the universe is not separate from you. It's responding to you, co-creating with you in every moment. In times of doubt, remember that confirmation synchronicities are not there to predict your future. They are there to remind you that you are aligned right now. They call you to trust your journey and to continue growing with faith. Your higher self is always in communication with the universe, and these signs are the language of that sacred conversation. Each repeated number, each perfect encounter, and each feeling of déjà vu is a signpost guiding you toward deeper awareness, reminding you that your life is unfolding exactly as it should for your spiritual growth. If this message has truly resonated with your soul, comment below. I trust the signs the universe sends me. Every synchronicity is a confirmation that I am on the right path. 3. Prophetic synchronicities. Prophetic synchronicities, often described by Carl Jung as omens, prophecies, or divine signs, are mysterious threads that weave between your waking reality and the dream world. They appear as repeating numbers, meaningful dreams, or symbolic messages that seem to arrive at the exact moment you need them. They are not random at all. They are the universe's coded language, guiding you toward higher awareness and alignment with your soul's path. Jung once said, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." When you begin to notice these patterns, like seeing the same number sequence over and over, dreaming of something before it happens, or sensing a message hidden within a coincidence, you are awakening to a deeper order of existence that moves beneath the surface of time and logic. In Jung's view of spiritual wisdom, prophetic synchronicities represent the mysterious bridge between the mind and the cosmos. They operate beyond cause and effect, connecting inner thoughts and outer events in a way that defies explanation but feels undeniably real. Jung called this the causal connecting principle, moments where your psyche aligns with the rhythm of the universe. His famous story of the golden scarab is a powerful example. During a therapy session, a patient described a dream about a golden beetle, and in that same instant, a scarab beetle appeared, tapping at the window. It was a living mirror of the dream, breaking through rational boundaries and proving that life itself communicates through symbols when the soul is ready to listen. Prophetic synchronicities work in the same way for you. Perhaps you dream of someone and meet them the next day, or you think of a person seconds before they call. Maybe you see a certain animal repeatedly, or you keep encountering the same song, word, or image wherever you go. These experiences feel charged with energy because they arise when your inner world and outer reality merge in perfect resonance. Jung believed that such moments show the psyche's timeless nature, proving that part of your consciousness exists beyond space and time. When you pay attention, you begin to realize that life is not a series of random events. It's a symphony of meaning waiting for you to recognize its melody. Interpreting these synchronicities requires sensitivity and awareness. The key is not to overthink them, but to feel them. Notice what emotion they awaken within you, what intuition they stir. The language of the universe is symbolic. It speaks through your dreams, your intuition, and the patterns that repeat in your daily life. Keeping a journal can help you see how these moments form a map of your spiritual growth. Over time, you'll recognize that every coincidence, every recurring number, every symbolic dream carries a message about your evolution. The unseen harmony is mightier than the seen, said Heraclitus. And Jung would have agreed, for it is through the unseen that we are guided toward transformation. So when prophetic synchronicities appear, don't rush past them. They are sacred whispers reminding you that your journey is divinely orchestrated. They may warn, prepare, or encourage you, but their purpose is always to awaken your consciousness. Spiritual wisdom teaches that the universe is not outside of you. It moves through you. The more aware you become, the clearer its messages will sound. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Every prophetic synchronicity is an invitation to bring light to what lies hidden, to see the pattern behind the event, and to realize that you are not a passive observer of life. You are a co-creator of its unfolding mystery. Don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual wisdom on how the universe sends prophetic synchronicities to guide your path and prepare you for what's coming. Every sign has meaning. Stay tuned to learn how to recognize them and align with your higher destiny. 4. Manifestation synchronicities. Manifestation synchronicities happen when your thoughts, emotions, or visualizations begin to shape reality in ways that seem almost magical when you think about someone and they suddenly appear, or when a goal you've been picturing in your mind starts taking form in your daily life. This is not coincidence, but the universe reflecting your inner vibration back to you, confirming that consciousness is the foundation of all creation. It is what the ancient Hermetic masters called the principle of mentalism, summarized in the phrase, "all is mind." In spirituality, this means that everything you see, touch, or experience first existed as a thought in the infinite field of consciousness. And when your inner world aligns with that universal intelligence, the physical world reorganizes itself to match your vibration. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, explored this same truth in his study of synchronicity. Those meaningful coincidences that connect inner experience with outer events. He saw them not as accidents, but as messages from the deeper layers of the psyche, evidence that your mind is not confined within your skull, but interwoven with the living fabric of the cosmos. From the lens of spiritual awakening, manifestation synchronicities are signs that you are beginning to live in conscious partnership with the universe. When your thoughts, emotions, and intentions move in harmony, they emit a frequency that resonates with similar energies around you, drawing experiences that reflect your dominant state of being. That's why, when you hold a clear vision with faith and emotional conviction, reality starts to bend around that vibration. This alignment is what mystics, monks, and modern quantum physicists have all pointed toward in their own languages. Quantum experiments show that observation itself changes the behavior of particles, implying that awareness of your very act of perceiving has creative power. It's as if the universe waits for you to decide what you believe before deciding how to appear. In the context of spirituality, this is an invitation to take responsibility for your thoughts, because every idea you dwell upon, plants a seed in the invisible garden of potential. Jung observed that when the unconscious mind communicates through symbols, dreams, or sudden intuitive impulses, external events often respond in parallel. These moments remind you that your psyche is not separate from the world, but participates in its unfolding. In a state of spiritual awakening, you start to notice how your emotional energy acts as a magnet for people, opportunities, and even challenges that mirror your inner state. The person who constantly fears rejection attracts situations that confirm it, while the one who vibrates with self-worth begins to see doors open effortlessly. This is not superstition. It is the dynamic interplay between mind and matter that has been echoed by both mysticism and modern science. Every coincidence carries a message, and every manifestation synchronicity reveals that you are far more powerful than you once believed. The more you awaken, the more you realize that life is not happening to you, but through you. Each manifestation synchronicity becomes a mirror reflecting your consciousness back at you, showing where your energy is aligned and where it is still fragmented. When you think of a friend who suddenly calls, or when an opportunity arises exactly when you've released your doubt, it is the universe whispering that your thoughts are not isolated. They are instruments in the divine symphony of creation. The key is awareness. What are you focusing on? What are you feeling? And what story are you telling yourself about reality? Because the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. When you live with clarity, gratitude, and purpose, manifestation synchronicities multiply, guiding you like breadcrumbs along your path of awakening. In the end, spirituality teaches that you are both the observer and the creator, the dreamer and the dream itself. And once you truly understand that, every thought becomes sacred, every emotion becomes creative energy, and every coincidence becomes a doorway into deeper consciousness. Comment below, "I believe in divine timing," and let the universe know you are ready to align your thoughts with your highest purpose. 5. Opportunity synchronicities. Opportunity synchronicities are those magical intersections where preparation meets perfect timing, and everything flows so effortlessly that it feels as if the universe itself has orchestrated the event. These are not random accidents, but living proofs of a deeper harmony that connects your inner readiness with outer reality. They arise in moments when you've quietly prepared for something, perhaps without knowing why, and suddenly the exact door opens at the right time. It's the job offer that comes just after you've gained the courage to leave what no longer serves you. The stranger who shares the very insight you needed to hear, or the chance meeting that shifts the direction of your entire path. These are signs that your soul and the rhythm of the universe have synchronized, revealing that you are moving in alignment with a higher pattern designed for your evolution. According to the Hermetic principle of rhythm, everything in creation moves in cycles. Tides rise and fall, seasons change, energy expands and contracts, and when your consciousness aligns with this rhythm, life stops feeling like a battle. You stop forcing, chasing, or controlling outcomes, and begin to move with grace, patience, and faith. Spirituality teaches that this flow is not about passivity, but deep awareness. It is the art of acting in divine timing, rather than reacting out of fear. When your spiritual growth matures, you start to feel when the rhythm shifts, when it's time to rest, when it's time to act, and when it's time to let go. You begin to sense that every delay is preparation, every pause a lesson, and every alignment a silent nod from the universe that says, now you're ready. Opportunity, synchronicities appear as reflections of your inner state. When your energy becomes clear, your intentions pure, and your emotions balanced, the external world mirrors this harmony by presenting openings that perfectly match your vibration. It's not luck. It's a resonance, a spiritual echo of the work you've done within. You may start to notice how situations that once seemed coincidental now reveal precise meaning, how one decision leads seamlessly to another, and how life begins to arrange itself around your deepest truth. Carl Jung called this the meeting of psyche and matter, a dialogue between your consciousness and the universe itself. It's the moment when life becomes a mirror, showing you that what you seek is also seeking you. The more you awaken spiritually, the more visible these patterns become. You begin to see how each person, each event, each encounter fits into an invisible web of timing that guides your evolution. You no longer dismiss coincidences as chance. Instead, you treat them as divine breadcrumbs leading you forward. A casual conversation suddenly confirms what your intuition already whispered. A missed opportunity later reveals itself as protection. A sudden invitation arrives at the very moment your soul feels ready for change. These synchronicities are not random. They are the universe responding to the frequency you emit. Through spirituality, you learn that your outer world is a mirror of your inner one. When you live with awareness, gratitude, and integrity, the universe reflects that same harmony through opportunities that align with your purpose. Every opening, every door that seems to appear out of nowhere is a confirmation that your energy has matured, your vibration has elevated, and your soul has grown strong enough to handle what's next. Opportunity synchronicities are the universe's way of saying, you've done the inner work now. Watch how the outer world unfolds in your favor. And as you continue to walk this path of spiritual growth, you realize that nothing ever arrives too early or too late. Everything, including your next great opportunity, arrives at the exact moment your spirit is ready to receive it. Affirm this truth today by commenting below. I am ready for every divine opportunity meant for me. Let this be your reminder that synchronicities are not coincidences. They are signs that the universe is opening doors you were destined to walk through. Stay aware, stay aligned, and let your life unfold in perfect spiritual timing. Synchronicities remind us that life is not a series of random events, but a living dialogue between our inner world and the universe. When you begin to notice these meaningful coincidences, whether it's a chance meeting, a repeating symbol, or a dream that later unfolds in real life, you're witnessing the subtle language of the soul. As Carl Jung once said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. So, open your eyes to the hidden patterns guiding you toward growth, purpose, and higher awareness. Have you ever experienced a synchronicity that changed the way you see life? Share your story in the comments below, and let's explore the mysterious intelligence of the universe together. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and keep your heart open to the signs meant just for you. The moment the empath stops saving everyone and chooses peace instead, Peace begins with a smile, Mother Teresa once said, and true peace begins when you finally stop carrying the weight of everyone else's storms. In this video on spiritual wisdom, we'll explore Carl Jung's profound truth about the moment an empath stops saving everyone and instead chooses peace. What would your life look like if you allowed yourself that freedom? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And let's begin this journey of personal growth and happiness together. 1. The origin of the empath's burden. Empathy is often misunderstood as a pure act of kindness or a spiritual blessing. Yet in truth, it is very often born from childhood wounds and unconscious survival strategies. Many empaths did not simply choose to feel deeply. Rather, they were shaped by early environments where emotional turbulence was constant, where safety depended on anticipating the moods of others and absorbing storms that did not belong to them. A child who grows up under the shadow of unmet needs and invisible wounds learns quickly that harmony is maintained only by carrying the weight of everyone else's emotions. What the world later calls compassion began as a defense mechanism, a silent agreement with life. If I carry their pain, perhaps they will not hurt me. Perhaps they will love me. Perhaps I will finally belong. As this pattern repeats, it becomes identity. The empath grows into adulthood, believing that to be valuable is to heal, to soothe, to absorb, and they begin to confuse sacrifice with love. This is the archetypal wound Carl Jung referred to. The moment when survival hardens into destiny and the soul begins to carry what was never meant to be its burden. Spiritual awakening arises when the empath finally recognizes this hidden truth, that their so-called gift is also a wound, that their endless saving of others has come at the expense of their own peace. Awakening does not mean abandoning empathy, but transforming it into something higher. The conscious choice to feel deeply without drowning, to love without losing oneself, to serve without erasing one's own existence. In the modern world, this realization is essential. We live in a time saturated with conflict, projections, and emotional chaos, and the unawakened empath often becomes a sponge for pain, drained of energy, and robbed of clarity. Yet spirituality reminds us that true compassion is never self-destruction. It is the ability to honor others while fiercely protecting one's own inner sanctuary. Saying no is not cruelty, it is wisdom. Guarding your boundaries is not selfishness, it is sacred responsibility. When you cease to mistake carrying wounds for offering love, you unlock healthier connections and discover a peace that radiates outward. Empathy without awareness is bondage, but empathy with awareness is liberation. To choose peace instead of constant rescuing is to step into a higher dimension of love, where your presence itself becomes a source of healing rather than your exhaustion. This is the deeper truth of spiritual awakening. You are not here merely to carry others. You are here to embody balance, to show that the strongest light is the one that refuses to burn itself out. And when the empath finally lays down the burden of survival and embraces the freedom of self-respect, they become not less compassionate, but more powerful. A living reminder that real love is not suffering endlessly. It is shining steadily, wisely, and with dignity. Comment below. I release the burden. If you are ready to honor the origin of your empath's journey and finally choose peace. 2. The archetypal wound and repetition. The empath carries an archetypal wound, a hidden script written deep within the soul, whispering that peace can only be earned by carrying the chaos of others. From childhood, subtle lessons were planted in moments when silence in the home felt heavy, when conflict could only be softened if you dimmed your needs and absorbed the emotions around you. This became survival, and survival slowly became identity. Over time, the pattern repeated itself in relationships, friendships, and every corner of life, as though fate kept setting the same stage until awareness was born. Carl Jung's truth speaks clearly here. What remains unconscious will continue to govern life until it is brought into the light of consciousness. To the empath, this wound may look like kindness, but at its root, it was a strategy to stay safe. You believed your worth was tied to how much pain you could hold, how much peace you could create by sacrificing yourself. Yet spirituality teaches a higher lesson. Peace is not borrowed from others' approval or their storms calming down. Peace is born within you. Awakening begins when you recognize that your soul was never designed to endlessly absorb, but to radiate. This realization feels like breaking an ancient contract that declared you must be the healer, the fixer, the one who bleeds so others may rest. But the moment you see this contract for what it is, you discover the freedom to write a new one that protects your own peace as sacred. Life repeats its lessons until they are learned. If you find yourself in the same exhausting cycles, drained, unappreciated, overshadowed, it is not a punishment, but an invitation to grow. Jung called this the repetition compulsion, the psyche's way of replaying old wounds until you awaken to them. In this moment of recognition, your path of spiritual development begins to shift. True compassion does not mean losing yourself for others. It means including yourself in the circle of care. Protecting your inner calm is not selfish. It is the foundation that allows authentic love to flow. Love that does not come from exhaustion, but from strength and clarity. The lesson is profound. You no longer need to wait for others to change before you allow yourself to breathe. You do not need to measure your serenity by the storms you silence. Your soul is inviting you to end the old story and step into a new one, where your worth is no longer defined by how much you endure, but by the sanctuary you cultivate within. This is the essence of spirituality, to realize that your being was never meant to be a vessel for endless pain, but a dwelling place for wisdom, light, and peace. When you choose to stop saving everyone and begin honoring your own serenity, you break generational cycles and become a living example of what awakening truly looks like. And in doing so, you remind the world of the most powerful truth. Peace is not given. It is created from within. And once you embody it, you give others the courage to find it in themselves. 3. Dreams and symbols of drowning. When you dream of water, drowning, or rescuing someone, it is not just a passing image, but a mirror of your hidden struggles. For the empath, these dreams reveal how easily you become submerged in the emotions of others, mistaking their storms for your own. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The drowning you see in your dreams is your unconscious rising up to tell you that you have been carrying burdens that were never meant for you. And now your soul longs to return to solid ground. Water in dreams is the language of emotion, and drowning shows how deep you have been sinking under the weight of feelings that do not belong to you. You may think it is love or kindness, but often it is a survival pattern, believing that if you rescue others, you will finally feel safe yourself. True compassion, however, does not mean losing yourself. As Anais Nin wrote, "You cannot save people, you can only love them." The dream is your inner intelligence whispering that it is time to protect your spirit instead of constantly throwing yourself into the waves of others. All your life, you may have acted as if you were everyone's lifeboat, but the dream of drowning arrives when your lifeboat begins to sink. This is the soul's warning. You cannot carry everyone forever without sinking yourself. Spiritual wisdom teaches that real intelligence is not about fixing or rescuing, but about knowing when to step back, when to let go, and when to choose peace. Your greatest gift is not sacrifice, but presence. And presence can only shine when it is not clouded by exhaustion or despair. In Jungian psychology, every symbol carries a message, and drowning is the archetype of being overwhelmed. Yet, it also contains the seed of transformation, calling you to rise above the waters and reclaim the ground of clarity and independence. Dry land, in this sense, is peace, boundaries, and self-respect. It is the understanding that choosing peace is not selfish, but sacred. For love without boundaries destroys, while love with boundaries heals. When you honor yourself in this way, you bring others not false rescue, but genuine healing, born from your strength rather than your depletion. So when you dream of drowning, see it as your soul's invitation to ask, whose pain am I carrying and why? The answer frees you to release what was never yours and to return to the calm shore of your own heart. As Rumi wrote, try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even if you have never been in a season like this before. This season is about awakening, about choosing peace over chaos, and about finally letting go of the storms that do not belong to you. By doing so, you embody the deepest truth Carl Jung left us, that once the unconscious is brought into the light, it no longer controls us, we control it. And in that choice, you discover that your greatest rescue is not saving others, but saving yourself. Comment below, I rise above the waters. If you're ready to let go of the weight of others and embrace your own peace. 4. The savior complex and its collapse. Empaths often confuse saving others with love, but what begins as compassion quietly transforms into exhaustion, resentment, and bitterness. When you believe that carrying the storms of others is your sacred duty, you slowly lose yourself beneath the weight of responsibilities that were never yours to bear. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And this truth reveals that genuine love cannot be born from self-erasure. The savior complex, though rooted in kindness, chains the empath to a cycle of martyrdom where they give endlessly yet remain unseen, hoping that sacrifice will bring connection, but finding instead only emptiness. This collapse of the savior complex is both painful and necessary. For many empaths, their identity was forged in early life, where survival meant attuning to the moods of those around them. They learned to mistake hyper-awareness for kindness and constant giving for intimacy, and over time, this pattern became their unconscious truth. Yet, the longer they cling to this identity, the more disconnected they become from their authentic self. The exhaustion builds, the resentment hardens, and eventually the soul rebels, demanding liberation through individuation. Jung called individuation the process of becoming whole, the journey of reclaiming your true self from the fragments you gave away. When an empath chooses to step out of martyrdom, they begin to understand that true love is not sacrificing yourself endlessly, but standing fully present as who you are. The fear that comes with letting go is real. Many empaths feel that if they stop saving others, they will no longer be needed, and without being needed, they will vanish. But what truly disappears is not their worth, but the illusion that their worth depends on the chaos of others. This is not abandonment, it is freedom. The collapse of the savior role tears down the false walls that trap them and allows fresh air to enter. In spirituality, collapse is not the end, but the beginning of awakening, because only when the old self dissolves can the authentic self rise. To stop rescuing is to create space where others can confront their own darkness, and in doing so, the empath finally discovers peace. Modern life often makes this lesson more difficult. We live in a culture that glorifies overwork, self-sacrifice, and constant availability, turning burnout into a badge of honor. Empaths in this world are praised for their endless giving, but beneath the applause lies depletion and despair. Spiritual awakening asks them to rewrite this story. Choosing peace over exhaustion is not selfish. It is sacred. To honor your own boundaries, to protect your energy, to rest without guilt, these are acts of profound love. When you stop measuring your value by what you give away and begin honoring who you are, you embody a deeper form of compassion, one that uplifts without destroying. Carl Jung reminded us that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. For the empath, this means shining light on the hidden belief that identity is tied to saving. By exposing this belief, they step into freedom, no longer bound to play the role of the eternal caretaker. This transformation is not about withdrawing from love, but about rediscovering it in its purest form. Love without depletion, connection without chains, compassion without erasure. Through individuation, the empath learns to show up whole, vibrant, and authentic, no longer defined by wounds, but by wisdom. And when they stop saving and start simply being, they discover that peace itself is the greatest gift they can offer both to themselves and to the world. 5. Choosing peace feels like betrayal. Choosing peace often feels like betrayal because for so long you have been conditioned to believe that your love, identity, and sense of belonging are tied to how much you sacrifice for others. Walking away from this pattern feels terrifying, as though you are abandoning everything that once defined you. But in truth, you are leaving behind illusions built on childhood wounds and ancestral contracts of silence and self-denial. Many empaths grew up as the child who kept the peace in a house filled with storms, carrying burdens that were never theirs to hold. And as adults, they continue to absorb chaos, believing that this is what love requires. These inherited agreements are not only personal, but generational, formed by ancestors who endured suffering without release. Yet when you finally break them, you are not betraying those who came before you. You are honoring them by ending cycles they never had the chance to end. As Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And choosing peace is precisely that, a step into authenticity rather than remaining a mirror for everyone else's shadows. The guilt you feel in choosing yourself is nothing more than the voice of old conditioning echoing in your heart, urging you to return to roles that no longer serve your spiritual development. When you say no to carrying the weight of others, you are saying yes to your own healing. And in healing yourself, you also liberate those tied to your lineage. It is as if an invisible chain is broken. Each link release sets free not only your soul, but also the memory of ancestors who lived in silence. Spirituality teaches that peace is not selfish, but sacred. And by embracing it, you create a space where love flows freely without the chains of obligation. This is not withdrawal, but transformation. A movement from sacrifice that drains you to a presence that inspires others. True spiritual development is not found in endlessly absorbing pain, but in protecting the divine gift of your own energy, in standing firm within boundaries that affirm your worth. The fear of losing love when you stop over-sacrificing is an illusion. For those meant to walk beside you will love you more deeply when they see you rooted in your authentic self. Those who valued you only for your willingness to suffer will drift away. And that is not betrayal, it is freedom. Choosing peace becomes the moment where compassion and self-respect meet, where you step out of ancestral patterns into a new possibility of living. You no longer confuse sacrifice with love, nor guilt with belonging, for you finally see that peace is not the end of love, but the beginning of true love. To walk this path is to become a living example of what spiritual awakening truly means, proving that honoring yourself honors all who came before you, and that liberation is the greatest gift you can pass on to those who come after. Leave your likes and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to activate the notification bell so you never miss powerful insights like this. Comment below, "I choose peace without guilt," to affirm your journey toward inner freedom. 6. Death and resurrection of identity. Choosing peace as an empath is not simply a decision, but a transformation that feels like the death of an old self and the birth of the authentic one. Because for so long, you have carried the weight of others' storms, mistaking them for your own, believing that love meant saving, healing, and rescuing everyone around you. Yet as Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And to do so, you must let go of the savior identity that was never truly yours, but a mask shaped by others' needs and wounds. At first, this release feels like a crucifixion, the painful dismantling of a self that lived for approval and validation. And those closest to you may resist, calling you selfish, cold, or unloving. Not because you are wrong, but because they do not yet understand the strength and boundaries and the sacredness of inner stillness. The moment you refuse to rescue everyone, the world reacts, because your absence forces others to confront their own shadows. And while this resistance feels like rejection, it is really proof that you are stepping out of an old cycle into a higher truth. Just as Rumi reminded us that try to accept the changing seasons of your soul, even when you feel stripped bare, for the garden is already being prepared for spring. This stripping away is the death of the savior role, and though it hurts, it clears the ground for resurrection, where you discover within yourself a quiet, steady center untouched by chaos. In this resurrection, you learn that peace is not selfish, but sacred, and that your truest love is not in endlessly absorbing pain, but in embodying balance, clarity, and presence. From this new center, you stop confusing chaos with intimacy and sacrifice with love. realizing that real love honors boundaries and thrives in mutual growth. You see that energy is not an endless resource for others to consume, but a divine gift meant to be protected and directed with intelligence and spiritual wisdom. And in choosing peace, you no longer drown in storms that are not yours, but instead carry still waters within you, waters that reflect truth rather than absorb turmoil. Jung's words echo here. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And by making the unconscious savior pattern conscious, you finally step into individuation, the process of becoming whole. This wholeness feels like a resurrection of identity, where you are no longer a mirror for others' wounds, but a vessel of light grounded in authenticity, where you can step back without guilt, love without rescuing, and hold space without losing yourself. In that sacred freedom, you learn that peace is not passive, it is power, it is clarity, and it is strength. Choosing peace is not the end of love. It is the rebirth of true love, a love that begins with yourself and radiates outward, teaching others by example that real connection is born not from sacrifice, but from wholeness. And in embracing this truth, you claim your most courageous gift, the right to live as your authentic self, awake, whole, and free. 7. Facing guilt and shadow work. Guilt is often the invisible chain that keeps the empath locked in cycles of overgiving, making them believe that love must be earned through sacrifice and constant selflessness. Fear of abandonment whispers that if they stop pouring out, they will be left behind, while the deep hunger to be loved drives them to give more than they have. Yet when these shadows are brought to light, a powerful truth emerges. Much of the giving was never born of pure compassion, but rooted in old wounds where survival once depended on pleasing others. Carl Jung's insight that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, reveals why so many empaths unknowingly repeat the same painful patterns, mistaking slavery to others' needs as love. Shadow work is the key to breaking this cycle, because only by facing the guilt, the fear, and the desperate need for acceptance can the empath recognize that their so-called kindness was often a survival strategy. Spirituality and spiritual awakening demand this courage, the willingness to look inward and admit that empathy chained to wounds is not strength, but servitude. Healing begins when the empath learns that love does not have to be earned by carrying the burdens of others, that saying no does not mean rejection, and that resting does not equal abandonment. Slowly, empathy transforms into something purer, an energy no longer manipulated by fear, but guided by strength, clarity, and wisdom. In daily life, this transformation means no longer rescuing others from the lessons their soul must learn, refusing to apologize for boundaries, and choosing peace even when guilt tries to pull you back. The empath's heart remains soft, but it is no longer exploited. It becomes discerning, powerful, and free. This is the moment when empathy shifts from slavery into sovereignty, when giving is no longer a desperate attempt to secure love, but a conscious act of freedom born from authenticity. Spiritual wisdom teaches that peace is the highest gift the empath can claim, because from peace comes true love, love that does not drain but uplifts, love that is not chained to wounds but rooted in wholeness. And it is here, in this sacred balance, that empathy finally becomes strength, Stay connected with our community of spiritual wisdom by subscribing to our channel. Here, we explore Carl Jung's truths and the path of spiritual awakening, helping you transform guilt into growth and shadow into light. Remember, you are worthy of peace, healing, and the deeper freedom your soul has always longed for. 8. Individuation and true love. Peace is not isolation, but integration. The art of loving fully without ever losing yourself in the process. For so long, many empaths have mistaken endless sacrifice for compassion, carrying the storms of others as if it were their destiny. Yet true spirituality and spiritual development reveal a deeper truth. Love does not demand you to vanish into someone else's chaos. It asks you to stand rooted in your own essence while offering warmth and presence. This is where the empath's journey transforms, shifting from compulsive rescuing into conscious, free giving that arises not from fear or obligation, but from authenticity and choice. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And for the empath, this means realizing that worth is not measured by how much you save others, but by how truthfully you embody your own wholeness. When this realization takes hold, boundaries cease to be heavy walls of defense and instead become sacred doorways, passages that allow connection without collapse. They protect not to imprison, but to honor both your space and the sacredness of the relationship. You begin to see that real love is not about dissolving into another person's needs, but about standing firmly in your own light, creating harmony instead of exhaustion. Spiritual awakening teaches you that when you abandon yourself for others, the love you give becomes tainted with depletion. But when you honor yourself, your giving flows with freedom and joy. In the noise of modern life, people often confuse attachment with love and sacrifice with loyalty. But these distortions only drain the soul. To love without boundaries is to empty the very well from which love flows, leaving nothing pure to offer. To love with integration is to give without breaking, to serve without resentment, and to walk beside others without losing your own path. It is the realization that your presence itself, aligned with your authentic self, heals more than endless rescuing ever could. The empath's evolution is not about rejecting love, but about refining it, choosing peace that does not abandon connection, but deepens it. It is here that spirituality whispers the essential lesson. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. They create the space where love, respect, and growth can thrive, where you can embrace others wholeheartedly while still remaining whole. This is the true alchemy of spiritual development, where peace becomes harmony, love becomes balance, and the empath finally discovers that the greatest gift they can give is not their constant saving, but their unwavering authenticity. 9. Transformation of relationships. The empath no longer looks at others as projects to fix, but as sacred mysteries to honor. Because love is not measured by how much pain you can absorb, but by how deeply you can respect the unique journey of another soul. For too long, you may have believed that kindness meant carrying burdens that were never yours. Yet Carl Jung reminds us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And in that truth, you see that compassion is not control, and sacrifice without end is not love. True intelligence, spiritual wisdom, teaches you that every person has their own wounds, their own timing, and their own lessons, and by stepping back, you give them the dignity of becoming whole in their own way. In solitude, the empath discovers a new kind of companionship, the voice of the soul itself, the inner center Jung called individuation. Solitude is not emptiness, but fullness, not loneliness, but communion. And in the silence, you begin to hear your own heartbeat again. The divine center whispers what the world's noise drowned out, that peace is not selfish, but sacred, that to reclaim your stillness is to reclaim your life. As Rumi said, listen to silence. It has so much to say. In that quiet, you finally feel the alignment between your conscious self and your hidden depths. And from that harmony comes clarity, direction, and strength. When the empath begins to live from this wholeness, love transforms into something purer, freer, and more expansive. It is no longer desperate or draining, but flows like a river that cannot be contained. Generous because it springs from abundance. Liberating because it releases others from expectation. Unbound because it recognizes that no soul belongs to you. Carl Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And in choosing peace over the compulsion to rescue, you make that hidden wound visible, breaking the old cycle and stepping into freedom. Love now shines as light rather than weighs as burden. And relationships shift from patterns of depletion to spaces of mutual growth. You are no longer the savior, but a whole being walking in dignity, able to give without losing yourself, and to stand beside others without carrying them. This is the essence of intelligent spiritual wisdom. Love that empowers instead of drains, presence that heals instead of controls, peace that radiates instead of pleads. And in this transformation, you find the most profound truth, that by choosing peace, you do not abandon love, you perfect it. If you're still with us on this journey of transformation, comment below. I'm ready for peaceful relationships. Your words help us grow together in wisdom and connection. 10. The archetype of the healed healer. The empath dies, and the sage is born, because the journey of the soul is never about remaining in endless sacrifice, but about transforming into wholeness. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And this truth lies at the core of spiritual awakening. Healing does not flow from exhaustion, but from integration, not from constantly absorbing the pain of others, but from embodying peace, intelligence, and spiritual wisdom. Wholeness radiates more healing power than any form of self-destruction. And when you live from a place of divine union, you bring a kind of love to the world that is not heavy with wounds, but luminous with presence. For so long, the empath has lived like a candle burning itself down, mistaking depletion for virtue and sacrifice for compassion. Yet true compassion does not destroy the self, it nourishes both giver and receiver. The sage realizes that peace is not the absence of love, but love purified, love stripped of its distortions, love reborn in clarity. This is why choosing peace is not withdrawal, but the most sacred act of care. In spirituality, boundaries are not walls. They are gardens that protect what is holy, spaces that allow relationships to flourish in authenticity rather than codependency. If you pour yourself out endlessly, you leave nothing for your own soul. But if you stand rooted and whole, you teach others the deeper lesson, that they too must rise into their own strength. The healed healer is not indifferent, but present in a higher way. Instead of rushing to stop every storm, They become the stillness that reminds others of their own resilience. Their strength is quiet yet unshakable. Their love is not smothering, but liberating. This is the great paradox Carl Jung hinted at, that integrating both shadow and light makes you more powerful than carrying only wounds ever could. The sage embodies a spirituality that uplifts without depletion, inspires without demanding, heals without sacrificing identity. They know that presence itself, when anchored in wholeness, transforms more deeply than endless acts of martyrdom. In modern life, where constant demands and emotional noise threaten to scatter your energy, this wisdom becomes essential. You may feel drained by relationships, careers, or even family roles that take more than they give. Yet the truth remains: peace is not selfish. It is necessary. Choosing peace means choosing to protect love in its purest form. It means allowing your life to be guided not by the compulsion to rescue, but by the wisdom to live whole and free. As Rumi wrote, "Try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even if they seem bitter. For one day you will see that they make way for new gardens." That garden is your healed self, a space where your presence itself becomes medicine, not through sacrifice, but through radiance. The empath dies, and the sage is born, and in that rebirth, you step into your truest calling, to embody peace so deeply that others remember their own. This is not the end of love, but its highest expression. A love that flows from wholeness. A love that is no longer chained to suffering, but liberated in divine union. A love that heals not by breaking you down, but by making you whole. And so, dear friends, the moment the empath chooses peace over constant saving is the moment they finally step into their true power. If this message spoke to your heart, let it remind you that peace is not selfish, it is sacred. Thank you for watching. The moment the empath stops saving everyone and chooses peace. Instead, Carl Jung's truth here on Spiritual Wisdom. If you found value in today's video, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this truth, and don't forget to subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos filled with insight and transformation. Until next time, may you walk in peace and wisdom.